Hi there, my name's Wolfster. Welcome to episode 13, which is entitled The Secrets of the Universe. And I'm going to be introducing something that has never been heard of before. I'm calling it Orb Theory. Now, welcome to my channel, which is, you probably already know if you've been following me. It's called Is the Human Race About to Mature? And I believe that it is. Many don't. I've posed that question to quite a few people and they said, no, it's not. But I believe it actually is. We're about to come up to some occurrences, some big changes in our existence as a race and existence as individuals, which are part of the race. We're all part of the human race. So we're facing some big changes coming. And it's going to lead to the human race, not just us as individuals finding our purpose, it's going to lead towards, or it's the first step towards the human race being able to fulfill our purpose as a race, not just as individuals. So I just like to recap where I left off in episode 12, because in episode 12 I left you at where I believe we're going to be in maybe about 10 years, and where I can see that the human race is going to take the first steps towards its next, I don't like the word evolution, but in a sense it is, the next step of our evolution. So I'm just going to reiterate that, but this episode I'm going to actually take us way back to the beginning of the universe, how it all started. Where did it all come from? And I'm going to be talking about time. I'm going to be talking about how matter comes together and collective consciousness and information encapsulated in collective consciousness. That is the intelligence of the universe. So I'd like to just recap where I've left off. I think once I start talking about where do we all come from, this should make a lot of what I've said in the last 12 episodes make a lot more sense. Before I actually started all of this, I thought about starting where I'm at now and making this episode 1. It would have been logical, but I don't really want my channel to be all about a sciencey. I wanted it to be about helping individuals to come to the point where they individually mature so that we can move on into our future. So I wanted it to be more about that, and so I started halfway and then took us into what I think is going to be the future. But it is important to understand, where did it all come from? How did it all begin? How did life happen? Didn't just... If you think it all came out of some organic soup and all just developed and just happened, just all by random chance, study it properly. That's totally impossible, and proven to be impossible too. So what I said in episode 12, we are actually very close, I believe. Maybe could be up to about a decade at the most, but it could even be sooner. I would like it to be sooner, actually. But we're coming up to a point where the human race is actually going to split into 2 races. This is something that has been prophesied by the Hopi Indians long time ago. They speak of the time of 2 races. I believe that the split will come as we progress with androids controlled by AI, and there'll come a time when these androids are so human-like. In fact, we're getting very close to it now, let's face it. These androids will become so human-like that you could be walking down the street and an android could walk past you and you wouldn't even know it was an android. It will look identical to another biological human. We're getting very close to that now, very close to it. If you don't believe me, have a look about on what's going on. You'll see it yourself. But I believe, and I think this makes sense, and it works in with everything that I'm saying. These androids will be possessed, or those that have in the human race that have become enlightened beings, ascended beings, whatever you want to call them, these individuals that no longer have to come back to Earth to learn and to grow. They've reached a level of maturity where they don't need to come back, but they will come back one more time, and they will reincarnate, if you like, or astro travel, or possess these android beings, and they will be those people that they were as ascended souls or ascended spirits. And that will begin a new branch of humanity. They will become our future, and that is our future. I believe that that's your future, my future, everybody's future. However, for a while, not everybody has ascended to be enlightened. So for a while, there'll be this other race, the race that we know, the biologicals, that will continue on. So the world as we know it will continue on with all its troubles and all its chaos, but it will be side by side with a race that is us. These are people that have lived and have learned and have developed, but now they're in AI, android form. Now they will be able to still connect with AI, but they will also have all their memories from all their past lives, and they will also be able to connect to the universal consciousness as well. So what we're seeing here is a very, very advanced race. A race that is able to fulfill the purpose of mankind. As individuals, they do it, but also the purpose of mankind. And the purpose of mankind is to spread out, to take the seed of the earth to other planets, to other star systems. Just like a very, very old race once did for us here. We will do the same thing for other planets, for other stars. That is our purpose. That's what it's all about. The universe growing and expanding with intelligence and being filled with life. And that is our purpose. Of course, that is something that we can never do in biological form. We need a body that can travel into outer space, that can go to different places, do things way beyond our present comprehension. So that is what I'm actually I'm saying. You may agree with me. You may say, well, that could be fantastic, but I can't really see it, of course. It will take a lot of people by surprise, I believe. It will even take surprise of those that reincarnate, because they will have memory then of all their past lives. So there'll be a bit of confusion even amongst them to start off with. But as time goes by, they will update themselves. Like back here, these androids are basically created to be slaves of the biologicals. Now that won't continue. These androids with human spirits, so they are humans, they are us, and they will have all the memories that they've had from all their past lives, but they will pretty soon take over this line and update their physical bodies to be able to do all kinds of things and for their own experience, rather than just be robots for this. So I believe that we have the next step in our evolution, and it's coming very, very soon. So I'm going to take us now to where I said episode 13 starts. So I hope you enjoyed that little recap of where we're at and our future, and the reason why we individually need to get there, so that we can be a part of that. And we need to what I call, some would call it evolve, I just call it mature. So now I'm going to come to what this episode is actually about. And as you can see, the secrets of the universe, but orb theory. Now, no one has ever talked about orb theory. I've checked it out. I've never ever seen anyone else talk about orb theory. What do I mean by orb theory? So I've got to introduce this. Many of you might know of string theory in physics. For those of you maybe who don't, I'll show you just what scientists are actually contemplating that makes up everything, strings. So this is a current idea. It first came out, I think, about 20 years or maybe 15 years ago, something like that. And they thought that it was going to be the answer to everything, but now I believe there's about 10 or 12 different versions of string theory, and it's all getting confused. But anyway, the basic idea is that everything was made up of strings. And all these strings vibrate at different frequencies. Now, that is what they say makes up everything, because we know that everything, this is one of the things that has been definitely proved, everything from matter, even thoughts and emotions, everything is made up of energy, and energy vibrating at different frequencies. And so they came up with this theory of, so what is it? What's the smallest possible part? And they came up with the idea of strings of energy vibrating. Now, how small are these? This is where it gets really mind-boggling. We know that everything is made up of atoms, and atoms are made up of particles, and then particles are made up of energy. They say that the particles, even the smallest particles, maybe contain billions of these tiny strings. billions of them in a particle. And so can you get some sort of, get your head around how small these things are. But this is string theory, and this is what has given rise to the idea of randomness in quantum mechanics, how everything is confused because all of these little strings, which are not organized in any way, but somehow they organize themselves into matter. And so at the quantum level, it gives rise to the idea that everything is chaos at the quantum level, which doesn't make sense with what we see astrologically, and where everything is organized. And they can't figure out where the line is between the two. And so we've got this debate now that's been raging for a long, long time. Astrologically has to be wrong because we're right, and then the quantum mechanics say, yeah, no, we're right, astrologically has to be wrong. Basically, no one can say who's right and who's wrong. And actually, if you think about that, if you can't say which one is right and which one is wrong, but they're totally different, then you have to be prepared to say that maybe both of them are wrong. Hey, am I the first one to dare to say that? Maybe I might get assassinated now for saying that. Who knows? Anyway, I'm going to introduce not string theory, but something that exists at the same size. Orbs. I've made up a little orb here. Yeah, I've made up a little orb here. This is just a little ball that I made. I was looking for golf balls, actually. If anyone goes in and tries to find 24 different size golf balls, don't. They don't exist. So anyway, I've just made up this one. You'll notice that I've got a positive and a negative to it there. Now, if you can get in your head that these orbs that I'm saying, or this one I've got in my hand, actually exist the same size as what I said string theory exists in. So this little ball here that I've got is a very, very blown up version of orbs that are literally everywhere, absolutely everywhere. The universe is full of them. And they actually exist not just in one size, but in 24 different sizes. So, 24 different sizes of that orb that I had there. But each one has its own polarity. That's very important. This is where the origin of polarities actually comes from. But these orbs by themselves, although they are pure energy, they have no mass of their own. They are pure energy, but they do have a positive and a negative polarity, just the same as everything that we see in nature, in physics. Even in your mind, you have polarities. Even in your personality, personalities have polarities. And we try to not Oh, I won't go into all of that. That's psychology. I won't I won't go on another tangent. But yeah, everything exists with polarities, doesn't it? We see that. We see it everywhere. And each of these orbs, so tiny that to make up a particle, there is literally billions of them to make up a particle, but each one has a polarity, an individual polarity. And the important thing to note is that there is 24 different sizes of them. Now, I would like to just, before I go too much further, talk about how I came to understand this and why I believe that there's actually 24. And when I work with the theory, it has to be 24. I have been working myself now for well over 25 years I've had a great interest in science, although I haven't got any diplomas or degrees or anything up on my wall, but I've always had a great interest in it. But what I have done is I've worked with Indigenous peoples, and I've also been working with many, many years doing rune readings. That's not ruin, as many say, runes, so R-U-N-E, runes. And there are 24 runes, and I have spent years working with them, understanding them not as an ancient forgotten language, but as energetic vibrations. And I've spent years doing readings for different people. I have tens of thousands maybe of readings over the many, many years that I've really helped people, I know, and helped myself too. And I've worked with them as energetic vibrations. And then also adding to that other experiences that I've had in meditations, in rituals. It's brought me to this understanding that I'm now presenting to you. And I hope it helps you. This is the reason, because it's helped me personally, and I know it's helped other people that I've spoken this to. So I'm now this is the reason I'm doing this YouTube channel, because I want to put it out there. It's helped me, it's helped some other people, maybe it can help a lot of other people, and that's why I'm doing this. Also, what I'm saying links in with something in philosophy called panpsychism. It's the idea that everywhere the universe is full of life, full of energy that is alive and conscious. This is something that has been dropped, forgotten about, but is actually just in the last few weeks, the Voyager spacecraft left what's called inner space, or the heliopause, and has just gone into what they call deep space. So it's now out of the influence of the sun, and it's gone into deep space. They were expecting that once it did that, it would just go all quiet, and they'd get nothing back coming from it, and it would just go off, and eventually batteries or whatever would run down, and that would be the end of it. The moment it left the moment it went into what they call outer space, away from the sun's heliopause, something knocked the socks off of Voyager 2. Instead of quiet, it went crazy. Information was fed into it from the universe. If you don't have to take my word for it, please go onto YouTube. There's quite a renowned professor. I hope I'm going to say his name right. It's not Cuckoo, I know that. But I think it's Mikhail Cuckoo or something like that. He's quite a eminent scientist, often on YouTube. And he's put out a lot of information about this, saying that AI is now getting this information, and it's definitely messages coming to us, or intelligent messages coming to us, and it's being fed to the Voyager craft, and that's feeding it back to Earth, and AI is now interpreting it. So that has happened just almost in the last couple of weeks while I've been putting my notes together for this episode. So I'm blown away by it all. Now, let me, after saying all of that, let me continue now with orb theory. So yeah, where did everything come from? How did it all begin? I do not agree with the Big Bang, that just everything came about simply as an explosion and then it all formed together in the intricacy that we see the universe existing in. I think in episode 1 I spoke about Nikola Tesla and what Nikola Tesla said about that. He likened it to an explosion in a printing factory, and as the paper all came down and the ink all came down, as it got blown up, then the ink fell on the paper and it all bound itself, and then by the time it landed on the ground there was a dictionary. If you can believe that, then maybe you can believe in the Big Bang Theory. That's not my words, they're the words of Nikola Tesla. So I'll come back now and I'll talk about orb theory. Now, as I've said, instead of strings, vibrating strings in chaos, orbs are actually pure energy, but they exist as a globe, as a round ball type structure, but have positive and negative polarities. Bear in mind, very, very, very small. Billions of them fit into a particle. But there are 24 different sizes. So I'm going to now show you how these orbs actually come together and begin to form matter and other things as well in the universe. Now imagine this. Forget the magnet, that's just holding it on the board. Imagine this now as a ball that I've showed you before, as an orb, with positive and negative. Now, these are literally everywhere in the universe. Literally everywhere. The universe is not empty vacuum space. It is what scientists used to call the ether. Now, they dropped the idea of the ether simply because Nikola Tesla was trying to develop free energy for us. Can you imagine that? Free energy? Ah! We can't have free energy. Well, they covered it up. Apparently Einstein said that, or somehow proved that if the ether existed, light wouldn't be able to travel through it. And I'm saying, yeah, light is influenced by the ether, but it is actually what causes light to be restricted. It's what causes light to travel at light speed, or the maximum for light speed. But it does not disprove the ether. Energy is everywhere. In fact, even in his space-time relativity, he talks about the fabric of space-time as an energy field. And that's what causes gravity. Where's the energy field? What is it? I say it's the ether, and this has been around for a long, long time. I'll just go back to my notes. I've actually found that this knowledge of the ether goes way back, even to the time of Sanskrit. And there is actually a Sanskrit word for that we've translated into ether. I will try my best to say it, and say it as I think it may have been spoken long, long time ago. May have even been given to us by the race that actually helped our race to become what we are now. The word is, and because I believe that ancient languages weren't just spoken, like just words, just vibrations in the air. I believe when they were spoken, they were actually spoken, but also as you're saying each word, you feel its energy. And that is a level of communication that we have forgotten as a race. We don't have it anymore. But I'm going to try and make an attempt at this. Akashia. Akashia. The energy of the universe. And so that word, I believe, comes from Sanskrit, and it may have even been handed down to languages even before Sanskrit. So everywhere, these orbs are absolutely everywhere, throughout the entire universe. It's just an ocean of orbs, of these. Words can't describe how small they are. I'll just use teensy-weensy. How about that? Because no word can really describe, so just use the baby language. Teensy-weensy. That's a good one, isn't it? Hey. So these teensy-weensy orbs are literally everywhere in the universe, but in 24 different sizes. And they have polarities, but they do not in themselves vibrate. They do rotate because they're so compact that from time to time their polarities either repel or attract. So that causes them to spin, but they don't actually vibrate individually. However, occasionally, very, very occasionally, two will actually come together and form a bond. But that bond would only last for what we call on this planet a microsecond, because other ones would come in and would push them apart. Because, well, something I haven't mentioned, this energy field, this akashia, or ether, as it was more commonly known recently, this field isn't just loose, it's actually so plentiful that it is actually under pressure. There is so much there, so much energy. It's inconceivable. But it is actually under pressure. And I'm going to, I think in episode 14, I'm going to talk about that's how gravity is formed. Anyway, I won't go down that track now. But however, coming back to when and of course this can be done by any one of the other 24 sizes. These get pushed apart and then they continue to rotate away from each other. However, very, very occasionally, and I would say the occurrences of this is something tantamount to winning the lottery. Occasionally, as three of the equal sized orbs come together, as they turn, I need to put that. Yeah, as they turn, they all turn the one way. But as they turn, these ones are being attracted. That's pushing them all apart. But as they turn, so they're turning the same way. But can you see what happens? This one now is expelled, but these ones attract. That continues on, turning them around. Now, this one is repelled, but these two attract, pulling it back together again. And so that goes on and on and on. As you turn them, back again. This one is expelled, and these two are attracting. Now what that does, and I'm calling these now tri-orbs. Tri meaning three. And I believe this is actually the foundation of what they call the golden ratio. Because these are in constant flux of being attracted and then being repelled and then being attracted, that creates a vibration. Can you see that? As one is, two holding together, one getting repelled, and then as they continue, that one repelled before it gets a chance to move away, gets pulled back again, and then another one gets repelled. So that is what causes energy to vibrate, which I believe there is no other explanation anywhere in physics as to why energy vibrates. Maybe this is the first. I don't know. Anyway, these tri-orbs, what happens is then they stick together in this vibration, and that would be in one location somewhere in the universe. This first happened, and then somewhere else it happened again. Could have been who knows how far apart. But so this happens again. So I'll just draw it. Happening again. Similar sized tri-orbs. Maybe a huge distance apart, but they're putting out the same vibration, because this vibration then goes out, travels out through the ether, through the acacia, and somewhere else another one puts out an identical vibration. Now, when these two vibrations meet, that's what we call the law of attraction. And now these tri-orbs are actually attracted to each other. that make sense? I hope so. So remember that these ones also have positive, negative, positive, and this one would be the same here, positive, negative. They're identical because they're identical size and they're putting out identical vibrations. And so that is what causes the law of attraction. So as this process continues, so now we've got two triorbs come together, and then somewhere else in the distance, because we got two triorbs, they're actually vibrating with twice the frequency, although the same frequency, but twice as strong. So if another triorb develops somewhere else, it is going to be attracted to the stronger group, or the two instead of one. The one is going to be attracted to the two, and so then they become three, and they're attracted to each other. Now this process continues where all of these triorbs, the numbers of them grows into the millions. It starts out with hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands, millions, billions of triorbs coming together. Now, because that then creates like a large, I don't know what to call it, blob in the ether, the pressure that is coming from all the orbs surrounding them also acts not only with the law of attraction, but also with pressure. And they put pressure on these mass amounts of triorbs. And so that also holds it together. And in my next episode, I'm going to talk about that as gravity. So here we have this mass. I've been trying to think of a word for it. So I'm going to come up with a proper word for it: a particle. A particle. So we have the first particle developing from all of these triorbs. And each particle vibrates at its different frequency. And of course, there are 24 particles developed in the universe. And this is actually what causes dark matter, what scientists call, I don't know why they call it dark matter. Every time they find something they don't know what it is, they call it dark. But there's nothing dark about it. But it's just matter. So here we have the first particles. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope I've shed some light on a completely new theory of how the universe has come about. And in my next episode, here, episode 14, I'm going to talk about the first particle to the first star and how we get from particle to star. So please, if you like what I'm saying, if you want to support me, you know what to do, don't you? I need you to like me, share it if you feel you would like to. Support me to get this information out, because I just want to help other people with what I've got inside me that has helped me. And if you think it's helped you, then do your bit, please, to try and help other people. Okay, I'll see you again in episode 14. Bye for now.